difficult situation. I will show you what happened in the end. In this video I will actually talk a lot, so if you just want to see pure onboards, great sound and outside shots, watch all the other videos on my channel. So let's start. I want to explain how to overtake in a safe way, because especially in slower groups at track days I see a lot of riders having issues to pass the one in front, and then after a few laps you see groups of 5 to 8 riders behind each other who cannot overtake the one in front. This does not happen in the fastest group, because experienced riders always find a quick way around within a few corners. So how to overtake quick and safe? The easiest way, passing someone on the straight. Of course it's easy if you have more power, but even if your bike has similar power to the one in front, you can try to prepare a good exit from the corner before the straight, which helps you to get past. Here another example. It looks very close and maybe dangerous, but I knew for sure that he moves to the right. It does not make any sense for him to start going to the right and then suddenly go to the left again. That's why it's very important to ride in a predictable way on tracks. Don't do sudden weird maneuvers, because that's very dangerous. Now another type of overtake. Here I pass someone on the outside of the corner. This is something you should not do in most corners. The reason is that the rider in front cannot see me. He looks to the left here, but in this corner it's actually not a risk to overtake on the outside, because it's a long corner where you stay left all the way to prepare for the next corner. But in a normal corner you move from the outside to the inside, so to the apex, and then to the outside again. And then you should not pass on the outside. So to explain further, let's pretend someone wants to overtake me here in the next corner. I go from the outside to the apex, and now you see I look at the inside of the corner and my body is low at the inside of the bike. Now I accelerate and will move to the outside curb. Imagine someone tries to overtake me on the outside here. I cannot see him and I will crash into him. So only overtake on the outside if you are sure that you passed the rider already around the apex. If you're not sure, don't do it. Next type, overtaking on the brakes. Here I brake a bit later than usual to make sure I pass him. You see I missed the apex. It's not ideal for a fast lap, but a good idea if you want to overtake safely. And with the next example you will understand why riders in the fast group overtake quickly, even if the guy in front has almost the same speed. So this guy has a bike with similar power to mine, and we even brake almost at the same point, but it's still safe for me to overtake here. The reason is that if you overtake on the brakes at the inside, you don't need to pass someone before the apex. It's actually enough to be next to him, because he will look at the inside of the corner, he will look at the apex, so he will see me. I show you another example where someone overtook me like that, and you see it doesn't look dangerous or strange. So there's one risk with this maneuver you need to know. In the first few times you try to outbrake someone, it's difficult to judge if you can make the pass, because you also don't know where the rider in front brakes. And then there is the case where it gets dangerous. So let's take this situation. I try to outbrake the rider in front. It's a good corner to do that. And let's say at this point here I start to brake, but the rider in front also brakes very late. Then I may not be alongside him before he turns left. And then I have an issue, because he doesn't see me and turns into the left corner, and I'm braking as hard as I can, so I cannot steer right or left, so I will crash into him. So the first time this happens to you, your brain probably panics, and you will look at the bike in front and brake as hard as you can. But this is actually wrong and dangerous, because you might crash into him. What you need to do is to release your brake, because that way you can pass him at the inside, and once you are alongside him you can actually brake again, and you probably go straight because you brake too late, and you might go into the gravel, but it's much better than to crash into the rider. And another situation here where it gets dangerous. So the next corner is a hard braking from 270 kilometers to around 50. And that is a dangerous corner for out-braking pass, especially because I was far away from the rider in front when I started to brake. And then it's very hard to judge if I will make it or not. So at first I wanted to brake at the inside, but I wasn't sure, so I backed off and went to the left side here. And I just decided to pass him right after this corner. Okay, final examples, 2 different ways to overtake in the same corner. First one is the safe option, overtake on the outside. Again, it's okay here in that corner, the rider stays at the right all the time, so safe to do, but I lost a lot of speed. That's why there is the advanced option number 2, quick dive to the inside. That way I don't lose time, but you need to decide very quickly if it's safe, and you cannot make mistakes, of course. And now 18 overtakes in less than 3 laps, with sound of course this time and no talking. And in the end I show you the first clip and how that ended up. Enjoy. So let me explain how I experienced that. In the corner before I didn't even see them, the speed difference was just too high, and in the upcoming corner I already brake a bit earlier than usual, and then I have two options. Usually I would dive to the inside, and if I'm too late, I release the brakes and maybe go straight to the gravel. But here it is actually also dangerous to do that because it's a 180-degree corner, and then the rider in front will be in 90-degree to me. So it is a risk. And what I thought is I'm still quite far away from them, and I will just stay left and wait until they turn in. But the problem is they didn't turn in, they just stayed left all the time. And then I only had two options left. Either I go to the grass on the left and crash because it's wet, or I try to go right, release the brakes a bit, and as it's two riders, I cannot manage to go to the inside anymore. I need to find a gap between the two. And actually that is what I tried. And you see it worked. I was a bit lucky here. I cannot say that I fully controlled the situation. It could have ended in a bad way. Yeah, that reminded me that riding with very slow people on track is quite dangerous for both parties. So it's actually good that there are the groups of different levels, and open pit lane is often a bad idea. Yeah, and of course such a situation was also a shock to me. I was happy that nothing happened, and the other rider was also shocked. So we both went out to the pits, and I put my bike on the stand, and then I walked over and searched the other rider, and I apologized to him because it's always the faster rider. He needs to make sure to overtake in a safe way. And yeah, he explained it's okay for him. Of course he was a bit shocked. We were happy that nothing happened. And yeah, so stay safe when you overtake, and see you in the next video. The next video will be about riding fast in the wet. Here at this circuit I was somehow 4 seconds faster than the second rider on that day, so I think it makes sense to explain a bit how to go fast in the wet and still stay safe. Yes. See you in the next video.